Nova Production.
The Alt Fantasy Sports Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Edge Boost. Edge Boost enables you to double your bet with no interest. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to get started today. And we are now brought to you by Birddogs Shorts. The world's greatest shorts are hooking you up with a free Yeti style tumbler when you order over at birddogs.com/pool. That's birddogs.com/pool. And after a brief hiatus, the only Amish man staying in Iowa is back with us. Justin, glad to have you back, buddy.
Nice to be back. How's it going?
I mean, I wish I was doing as well as your USFL fantasy team was, because you, sir, heading into Sunday night, we're staring a 60-point deficit in the face. But did he blink, ladies and gentlemen? Did he panic? Did he try to change something at the last second? Nah. He said, I'm going to roll with Corey Coleman, Darius Victor, and Nick Skiba.
Yeah.
Darius Victor rewarded him. Corey
did.
Coleman did as well. And that's all she wrote as he squeaked out a victory by 0.6 of a point. No word if a stat correction will ruin that for you or anything yet.
Fingers crossed it doesn't.
And then Justin also just alerted me. He had a moment of cold-bloodedness. Rather than having to face his wife in the championship game, he decided, and I hope Miranda's listening or watches, Miranda, Justin stabbed you in the back. He saw that you had two players with goose eggs in the lineup. And guess what he did, folks? Rather than tell his wife, who supported him buying 60 trees for some unbeknownst reason, he let her go in and take double goose eggs from Jordan Sewell and Reggie Corbin. She lost by 1.8.
She wanted those trees, so maybe this is the revenge.
I know what I'm clipping and putting on Instagram and tagging Miranda in it.
That's fair.
But, USFL, Justin. The South is set heading into week 10, and the North is still a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
I wish I had another way to put it, but that's just it right now.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I hope the Maulers make it just because, what a turnaround, even though, is it really a turnaround when you've only won 3 games?
4-6? No.
Yeah.
4-6 is not a playoff team. 2 games below 500 is not a playoff team. This isn't, this is what the Renegades did, isn't it? Did they go 4-6 too?
They did. I was just thinking that.
I get it. Like, you want to have them in it. It's exciting because your week 10 games mean something, but your playoff games are about to be awful in the North. You're going to have somebody in the North. And I'm sure that, the whoever from the North makes it is going to clip this and post it up in their locker room, and it's going to motivate them to win, just like it motivated the Renegades. I think the South Division game is the USFL Championship game this year.
Yeah, and we felt that way about the XFL too. So it's interesting how now we're, kind of looking at the same thing here. But it would be weird to me if the Maulers make it at 4-6 with that kind of dominating defense and then end up winning the whole thing, kind of like Arlington did.
I mean, Troy Williams has to turn it around, though.
Yeah,
he's been doing okay. He hasn't been turning the ball over, but he needs to do a little bit more with the ball in his hands. He needs to do more than 166 through the air. the thing that really wasn't talked about with the Arlington Renegades is the fact that they added a first ballot spring football Hall of Famer in Luis Perez early, right away. And that is key,
Yeah, it is. I still think the defense won out for him, but yeah, I agree. That was a huge addition that was handed to them, but we won't get into that.
It was handed to them. I'm sure your boy Brian Scott had thoughts on that one, Justin. Did Brian Scott still have things to say about Luis Perez after that?
We didn't talk about it. We've just been talking about the Argos.
Has he been? How does he feel backing up Swag Kelly?
He's feeling pretty good about it. He said he's still learning the game and the differences in the CFL. And he had fun in preseason, and he's looking to just get him back to work.
Yeah. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball there in that Maulers-Panthers game, Josh Love forgot how to take care of the football. The thing that made him so good early season was that he wasn't turning the ball over, and he threw 4 picks on Saturday.
Yeah, he looked more like Josh Love, right?
He did. He did. However, Richardson for the Panthers is a nice emergence here. That's something I didn't necessarily see happening. And he's going to be available in a lot of your leagues, and he's been okay. He hasn't been great.
Yeah. But definitely if you're hurting it, throw him in there. I mean, 5 catches for 99 yards. You can't beat that out of a running back position.
AJ, I mean, is he a running back
or wide receiver?
Yeah, he's listed as a wide receiver.
He gets carries though. Yeah,
he does. I mean, he's getting the ball on the ground. They're working to get him the ball in all phases of the game, and this 99 yards was his big game so far. But yeah, I mean, he's a guy who's putting up yards. He's putting up touches. Through 6 games, he has 8 catches. So it's not as much as you maybe want, but maybe he's going to emerge as the guy now for Michigan with Joe Walker being slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have, just kind of switching gears here, do you have any concern about the Stallions sitting their starters or the Breakers for that matter?
Yes. I would be shocked if we saw the Breakers and the Stallions play the entire 60 minutes. And I don't know what they're going to do for the South Division. I mean, these games are utterly meaningless, and there's nothing they can do to make them meaningful. It's not like you can play for home field advantage.
Right. Yeah.
So they're just kind of staring a no-win situation in the face, and they're facing potential for these South games to have zero interest in them.
Yeah, for sure.
But speaking of zero interest, this episode is supported by Edge Boost, Justin. Edge Boost is the world's first bet now, pay later Visa card. Edge currently offers up to $2,500 in betting advances, which can be an extremely valuable tool. Imagine how much CFL futures action you could get in on with that boosted bankroll, Justin. Get down on some of your favorite CFL futures, parlay some, get down, boost those playoff bets, give a little hedge here on the Argos, and maybe throw a long shot red black ticket in. You got all these options that you could do. So you can do this, and you don't got to tie your bankroll up for months. Double down on a favorite bet you like, or use that middle or hedge. We know it feels a little gross, but sometimes a smart play is a good play and leads to more plays. Edge Boost isn't some sleazy loan shark, as they charge zero interest. Do you know of a way you can access more money to place on your favorite bets without paying any interest? Edge Boost can also be part of a responsible gambling plan, as you can set up daily, weekly, monthly limits across all your betting accounts in one place. So not only are they going to help you boost that money, they're going to help you use it responsibly so you don't get too excited and lose it all at once. Support SGPN and grow your bankroll by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to sign up. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge. Must be 21 years old or to use. Problem gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Speaking of the Houston Gamblers, Justin, let me tell you, they need to do a little bit more of their namesake and gamble when they get inside the 5-yard line, because I was sitting right in that end zone on Sunday in Memphis, and let me tell you, they just they were moving the ball okay, and then for whatever reason, they just got down inside the 10 and stalled out, and they weren't willing to take a chance to go for it, and they lost. They kicked 5 field goals on the day, and they got doubled up because they weren't willing to go for the end zone.
Yeah, I forgot you were at the game. How was that?
It was good. It was hot. There were
Yeah.
not a lot of people there, as I would expect for there to be a Houston game. There were more Birmingham fans than Houston fans.
Sure.
I did count how many people were there, but again, it's to be expected. It's two teams that aren't relevant to Memphis. Memphis fans who did go were devastated because they watched their team's playoff hopes die right in front of them with every gambler's field goal.
True. Yeah, if the Gamblers want success next year, they need another option that's not Kenji Bahar at quarterback. He's he's not the guy.
I mean, and I don't even know that it's necessarily a problem with him, actually. I think it's a problem with their play calling because as we were watching this
That could
game,
be, yeah.
they just weren't able to push anything down the field to put any stress on the defense. At no point in this game was the defense stressed. I mean, Kenji Bahar was clinical. He was 20 of 27 for 149. The problem is he only went for 149. You can't throw the ball 5 yards downfield and expect to move the ball and expect to score. And Mark Thompson, as a result, got absolutely bottled up. And Kenji Bahar was limited in his running. So when you have all of these things coming together, you just have a bunch of receivers in Peterson, Hall, and Zuber who are doing a good job getting open, but nobody's winning deep. They're all winning short with speed. You need somebody who can stretch defenses vertically. So if I'm Houston and I want Kenji Bahar to succeed, which I think he can, you need to go out next year and you need to add a receiver who can stretch the field.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. And you're right. Maybe it's not Bahar because then Kozart comes in and he averages 4.4 per play.
Right. I think this is an offense that they're trying to be safe. They're trying to not turn the ball over. But the problem is they need to push the ball downfield a little bit. You know, they have the run part of the run and shoot down. They don't have the shoot, you know, and in reality, this is what the run and shoot is. The run and shoot offense is centered around small, quick receivers who are tough to cover. But the problem is for whatever reason, the Gamblers don't have the ability to push it down the field. I don't know if that's line. I don't know what that is. And on the other side of the ball, you know, Alex Magoo cementing his case for USFL MVP.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, he was their starter last year, of course, then he got hurt, and then he was the backup this year, and then Jamar got hurt, and he's been phenomenal. He's shown that there definitely are two different quarterbacks on that team that can just carry the team. So I've been happy for Magoo that he got his chance to get back in there and be a starter and show that he deserves it.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see if that doesn't lead to one of them getting moved to another USFL team. Maybe somewhere like Memphis or Michigan or Pittsburgh, because one team with now 3 quarterbacks in Kyle Sloter. I will say, though, Birmingham having Kyle Sloter waiting in the wings, ready to come in, has me a little interested if he's going to run a little bit, because we saw some of the down guys like Kane and Hardy get involved a little bit. So those guys will be involved most likely on Sunday or whenever that South Division game is. I think they're actually, if I were them, I'd put them both on Saturday. Let me see here. Nope. The Stallions play Saturday night. And then on Sunday, we have the Breakers and Gamblers at 4 and the Stars and Panthers at 7. Maulers Generals is 1 o'clock on Saturday. So the North Division first semifinal gets the 1 o'clock window on Saturday on USA.
Nice.
You know, and then speaking of field goals and just anemic offenses, the Showboats, you would have thought with some extra time to game plan with that lightning delay, they could have come up with something to turn it around, but they didn't. They scored 0 points after the rest of the game. That was just we
rough.
left that game at the Thunder delay because it was rough. The Breakers were moving the ball well, but not amazingly. Like McLeod Bethel Thompson quietly only had 88 yards. You know, this was just an ugly game all around where, you know, the Showboats had 249 yards of offense. to 170 for the Breakers.
Yeah, that's rough. Very rough. Fumbles coming into play, the turnovers for the Showboats. When your quarterback for the Breakers only has 88 yards and you win 31-3, you're doing something right as a team.
I mean, your boy Cole Kelly, 3 picks on the day, not
Yeah.
necessarily looking good. Yeah, I don't know if Cole Kelly's the guy. And I think the other thing that hurt them is White, the running back for the Showboats, went out with an injury early, which then meant Juwan Washington was carrying the load. And you can't just have one back carry the load. That's a lot.
Agreed.
I mean, is there anybody? So you and I are of the same mindset. We're kind of out on those South Division games next weekend, and we're staying away from those as much as possible as we can for fantasy.
Yeah, for sure.
So thinking of that, who are guys that you're targeting heading into this weekend in your must-win? Justin, in his first year in one of the longest running spring football leagues.
I mean, you want a guy like Case Cookus, right? He's got the experience. He's done pretty decent. He's had his ups and downs this year, but he's done decent enough. And I think that's it. You know, if you're looking at any of these players, that's the guy that you want. And if you can stack him with Corey Coleman.
So are you going to try to get your wife to drop Case Cookus and you collude with her to pick him up? Is
Hell
that
no,
what you're telling me, Justin?
She's not going to help me out. I'm just saying that's like
not after you stabbed her in the back. Not after you stabbed her in the back.
She wouldn't, anyways. we have a vicious in-house rivalry here. There's no helping each other.
Excellent. Just looking at this, the 2 championship teams in our league here, it's going to be good. The only thing that you might see is which defense is available to drop the Gamblers defense. Unless you think the Breakers are going to be bad playing their backups. I mean, that could be
true. Yeah, the Gamblers might want to end on a high note. And if the backups are in for the Breakers, it might be a good opportunity for the Gamblers defense to show up because they were supposed to be a good unit and they had a couple good games. But overall, they've been a little disappointing. They're supposed to be the strong part of that team.
Yeah, I mean, and Wes Hills just continues his dominance, 660 yards on the season, 10 touchdowns. Him and Mark Thompson just seizing the RB1 title from Darius Victor this year. Victor's been a more efficient runner. I think we're seeing, though, if you know that there are running backs, because we knew Victor and Thompson were going to be key guys, that you need to go get the running backs early.
Yeah, yep, for sure. Wes Hills has been just one of the biggest surprises for me as far as all the players overall. It's been nice seeing him break out and kind of dominate the way he has.
I mean, but there is one thing I will say. Wes Hills does not have the thighs Darius Victor does. And it's summer, true. Justin. And it's all about the thighs because you know what they say, skies out, thighs out. And Birddogs can help you fulfill that mantra, Justin. They make you look good. They've got the stretchy khaki shorts that they're tighter and they make your thighs pop, Justin. Even you, while you're working out on your 60 trees, could look good in a pair of Birddog shorts. They fit good. They're not they're a stiff cotton too, so you can wear them out when you're on the town as well. And anti-stink, anti-sweat wicking fabric, which is what we all need. I know it only gets up to like 60 degrees out there in Iowa, but here in the South, where we see temperatures that, make you sweat, that is wonderful. I can tell you right now, I'm definitely looking forward to ordering a pair of Birddogs. So just, how do we think Darius Victor would look in Birddogs, though? I mean, how has this partnership not come to fruition? Darius Victor, if you hear this, I would love to send you a pair of Birddog shorts courtesy of SGPN. Please, sir, let us know. We'll make this happen. And they will help you too, Justin, live your best life. Skies out, thighs out. So go to birddogs.com/pool and enter promo code POOL for a free Yeti style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com/pool for a free Yeti style tumbler. You won't want to take your Birddogs off. We promise you. Justin's just in awe
Yes.
at that professional.
Thick thighs save lives.
So Justin, switching gears a little bit, head into the CFL.
Yes.
Did you draft your CFL fantasy team yet?
I did.
You did. Who?
Yeah.
Let's talk your receivers. Who are we looking at with your receivers? Who you got?
All right, let me switch over here because I have a horrible memory. So I got Rashid Bailey, Dakil Williams, Drew Walatarski. And then who's on my bench here? Luther, I'd say his last name, Hakuna Matata, because I don't know how to say it. Those are my main receivers.
Yeah, I mean, I Nick Dembski absolutely balled out for me this weekend.
For sure.
Greg Ellingson and Lucky Whitehead less so, as well as Tyler Turnowski also disappointing me. It was a rough weekend. It was a rough weekend in the CFL, not going to lie. I got absolutely blown out by a score of 114-75 because I had a lot of goose eggs. 2 goose eggs for my IDP, a goose egg for my receiver, and Dreshwan Antwi only gave me 0.6 of a point.
Ouch.
What the hell, Antwi? You were supposed to be good at football.
Yeah, that definitely hurts. Hard to beat somebody when you're only getting that. Do you have multiple quarterbacks on your team because of how they do buys?
I do. I have Chad Kelly and Taylor Cornelius. Corn Dog, not necessarily living up to the heights that I thought he was going to. But let's focus on the receivers right now.
Okay.
And let's go game by
Let's do
game.
it.
We had a great game between BC and Calgary that featured, a high scoring. Everybody knew BC was going to be good this year. They got Vernon Adams in the fold, and he did not disappoint. And do you think they're going to support 2 top-tier wide receivers here in Dominique Grimes and Alexander Hollins?
I mean, they did last year with Dominic Grimes and Lucky Whitehead at the time. However, that obviously they had a different quarterback situation. So Vernon Adams getting the clear QB1 spot here. It's going to be interesting to see, but he played a lot better than I expected. I thought he would have some struggles to start off because he did show some struggles when he came in last year after the trade, but he looked really good. I was impressed. And I think Dominic Grimes is definitely somebody you should have on your radar.
Oh my gosh, Dominic Grimes should be rostered in every league. 13 targets is just an absolutely dominant performance. And if you drafted Lucky Whitehead, I wouldn't panic yet because BC is he's gonna have his weeks. He might be a flex play this year, but give him a chance to get back in. And on the other side of the ball, we had 3 receivers with high targets: Malik Henry, Reggie Beggleton, and Trey Odoms-Dukes. Malik Henry really disappointed. 8 targets for only 3 catches. Can he bounce back? And no, that's not the Malik Henry from Last Chance U. I know what everybody's thinking.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if he does bounce back. I think from what I saw anyways, it looks like Trey Odoms-Dukes and Reggie Beggleton are maybe kind of taking over that as being the go-to guys, but we'll have to see. 8 targets is still a lot of targets. He just needs to convert more, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, and then we're just continuing through looking at Winnipeg and Hamilton. Hamilton, Tim White and Bo Levy-Mitchell have some chemistry. It's very apparent. And then Dakil Williams has a little bit on there as well, and Keandre Smith too. But Bo Levy-Mitchell, is he washed?
I think so. I mean, I thought that when the season was starting, I didn't like their acquisition of him, but I don't know. Maybe he just needs some more time with these receivers to kind of build that, the chemistry and everything, I guess.
I mean, he threw 2 picks, and even they put in Matthew Schultz for 1 play, and he threw a pick. So this Hamilton offense really is struggling. It's not living up to the hopes that many of us had heading into the season. And it's really hard when on the other side, you have Zach Collaros just absolutely carving up your defense, and he's spreading the ball around to everybody. He's not giving Brady Oliveira and Drew Wolotarski the gaudy target numbers, but Rashid Bailey was getting involved with targets, as was Dalton Schoen and Nick Dembski. there were a lot of guys in this Blue Bombers offense. They're bombing it. Caleros is bombing.
Yeah, nice pun there. If this is anything like last year, any of these guys are going to have their days. It kind of seems to fluctuate between who's the leader each week. So if you have an opportunity to get a Blue Bombers receiver like Dembski, Schoen, Wolotarski, Bailey, I would say try to do that, even if you have to do it in trade.
Yeah, I mean, and now on the flip side, as we're looking at Ottawa and Montreal, two teams that people think less highly of, especially offensively. But Cody Fajardo for Montreal piled up the yardage, but couldn't get the Alouettes into the end zone. What's going on there?
That's just Cody Fajardo. I mean, he's got his games where it looks like, man, he's a really good quarterback, and then he has those games where it's, what is he doing? Why is he on the field? You're gonna have some of that with him as quarterback. But Austin Mack, 4 catches for 120 yards, an average of 30 per catch. I did not expect that. That was a name that I kind of jumped out at me of like, where'd this guy come from?
I mean, he did spread the ball around a lot. He had five receivers with 3 targets or more. And Keshun Abram, really shocking that he only had 1 catch on his 4 targets because everybody else was a high conversion rate. Kion Julian Grant was 3 targets, 2 catches. William Stanback was 4 catches on 4 targets. And Herdy Mayala, 3 for 4 on targets and catches. Really good to see there. If Montreal is going to spread the ball around like this, I think this is going to be an offense that you're going to want parts of. So I'm adding some of these Montreal guys because, there's a limited amount of roster space and people aren't going to panic drop stars after week 1. So you want to go out and get some of those guys. And even on the other side of the field in Ottawa, there were 5 guys with 5 targets in Ottawa.
Yeah, if Nick Arbuckle can just stop throwing interceptions, they might have some better games. But yeah, it was nice to see Justin Hardy after he had a little bit of success in the NFL, just briefly. Nice to see him get involved and have some success, even though it was only 27 yards, still had the 7 targets. But yeah,
Did
4 guys
Hardy
with 7 targets.
Ever really have NFL success? Let's not get carried away here, Justin.
He played NFL games. How about that? That's more like what I meant.
That's better. That's better. He played NFL games.
Yes, caught some NFL passes.
But going north of the border, I mean, he's played better. Last year, he had 44 catches for 400 yards. That's a lot better. He didn't find the end zone at all. So maybe, and he's still waiting for that first CFL touchdown. Because even in Atlanta in the NFL, in his limited work, he was good in the red zone. So you wonder if maybe he and Nick Arbuckle can't get some chemistry going here down the stretch.
Yeah, for sure. And if you drafted Jalen Acklin, he was one of the top receivers last year, I wouldn't panic. I know he only had 2 receptions on his 7 targets, but I wouldn't panic on him yet.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to keep spreading the ball around like that, but they're going to throw a lot and they're going to spread it around, you want to roster those pass catchers across the board. And then in the last game, we had Saskatchewan and Edmonton, that Rough Riders taking on the Elks. Seems like everybody's a Rough Rider these days, Justin. Who were some of the guys that stood out to you in this game?
So Sean Bain, 10 targets. He only had 6 for 36, but still 10 targets. If he continues to get double-digit targets, that's obviously a piece of the offense that you want there, even though it, like I said, wasn't converting a lot. And then on the other side, it looks like the same story for the Elks, that Geno Lewis is the only guy that ends up being relevant. 5 receptions, 148 yards, and a touchdown. It's just how it was last year. Last year, they were not very good. They didn't have a lot of producers, but Eugene Lewis, he goes by Geno, stands out again, and he can't be covered.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a lot of, I mean, Geno Lewis and Taylor Cornelius. Taylor Cornelius does this. He laser focuses on one guy. We saw it in the XFL a couple years ago with Dan Williams, and now we're seeing again with Geno Lewis. And, if he's out there in your league, go at him right now because, again, he's only rostered in 50% of alt fantasy leagues right now, So that means there's a chance you could go get him today. If he is available, you need him on your roster.
Absolutely.
So, Justin, we kind of touched on how everybody did this weekend. Let's talk about it. Let's rank these CFL pass catching units, shall we? Because that's what we do here. We're here to buy into it. We're doing this with the hindsight of week ones in the books. So we have a little bit of foreknowledge here.
Print yourself a cheat sheet. Is that what just happened?
No,
there?
I was grabbing a piece of paper so I could write my notes down as we went.
Oh, fair enough. Thought you printed a cheat sheet. I was like,
no, I would never print a cheat sheet, Justin. I am the cheat sheet.
There you go.
So, Justin, looking at these teams, who is it that's standing out to you? Best top. Who's the worst? Actually, we'll start. Sorry, going the wrong way. We'll start at the bottom. Worst receiving core. What's the team that you just want no pieces of right now?
Putting me on the spot here.
That's
I'm gonna
do here.
Even though there was one good part of their receiving core, one is not enough. So I'm gonna go with those Elks. They were the worst team in the league last year, and they look like they're going to potentially be the worst team again this year.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but if you're going to have one guy who's going to ascend and dominate like that, I can't put them at the bottom. Really, the bottom for me is Calgary. I know they faced a tough BC team, but they were down late and they couldn't do anything, and they didn't manage to move the ball until the fourth quarter.
Yep.
And Jake Meyer only threw for 150 yards on the day. That's not impressive to me. If I'm sitting there with Trey Odom Dukes, I'm looking to move off of him. Same with Malik Henry and same with Reggie Begelton.
Yeah. Yep. And I do have them next. So I was close with you there. So who do you get? Who do you got at, I guess, 7? We never saw Toronto play yet. So
we haven't. But, at the same time, I'm going to struggle to be out on Toronto because I'm so in on Chad Kelly. And last year we saw McLeod Bethel-Thompson just be absolutely prolific. And if we're looking at this from a positional standpoint, Cam Phillips is primed for a breakout year with them, and I can't be out on Toronto because I think they have so much talent at quarterback. And I think they have so much talent at receiver. Next for me, really, I think it might be Ottawa.
yeah.
I think this feels like some garbage time. They were spreading the ball around so much. I'm really nervous about this receiving core because it doesn't look like anybody's going to step up. And again, I wonder if an unsettled quarterback situation, everybody thought Jeremiah Masoli was going to be the guy, and it's Nick Arbuckle.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a quarterback controversy where you're going to be bouncing back and forth, it's not going to be good for your team.
Yeah, that was surprising to me. I wonder if Masoli's not 100% healthy yet from his
Is
injury
he ever
last year.
100% healthy, though?
Good question. He gets injured often. I got to go with Saskatchewan. Nobody really stood out, and Trevor Harris, 179 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. If he continues to struggle, then what do? Turn the keys over to Shea Patterson? That's even worse.
But I also think, Edmonton can show up defensively. I'm not necessarily out on them. And this is a team that's built to move the ball on the ground. And so I think that there's going to be some opportunities for Saskatchewan. But I also have them at 7th because that just feels like they haven't gotten it together yet.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And then I'll go with you on Ottawa there, because if Masoli can't stay healthy and they have to rely on Arbuckle, it might be a long year. I just can't fade Jalen Acklin that far. So that's why I have them a little bit higher.
And at 6, I'm staying in that game with Ottawa, and I have Montreal. I'm hesitant to believe in Fajardo as a passer. I know he's a
Mhm.
spectacular runner. He did throw for 261. But I just don't know that they're going to be able to consistently produce anything through the air, and just the fact that it's such a low average, other than Julian Grant and Mack, who are really buoyed by long completions, they're not pushing the ball down the field that much.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Have you been writing mine down?
Yes, I have. You've got
I
Edmonton, Calgary, Saskatchewan, and Ottawa so far.
All right. In Ottawa. I was going to say,
And,
I should have been writing mine down.
and I'll go to number 5. I have Edmonton here just because, again, I am a big believer in if there is a dominant pass catcher, I want that. And even if that goes away, they'll be forced then to have other guys pick up the slack. And, it wasn't great games from any of the other Edmonton pass catchers, but Arcanow and Brown and Stephen Dunbar even got some targets, and they're going to be capable of picking up some of the slack here with Taylor Cornelius. And Taylor Cornelius is a mobile quarterback who's going to force teams to account for him, which means less guys in coverage, which means there's a higher likelihood that somebody gets loose behind the defense, and Corndog can find them and has found them before.
For sure. All right. Well, number 5, I got Calgary. This is a team that they do run the ball a lot with Kadeem Carey. They did last year anyways, but I think their passing game is going to get kind of in line. BC is a tough team to play, so I'm going to put Calgary at 5.
All right. Who you got at number 4?
Let's go Montreal.
God, that just feels so high.
I was just about to say, even though I hate putting Cody Fajardo that high.
I mean, he threw the ball. He spread it out. It's just, it seems like they're super fluky dependent, whereas
agreed.
Cornelius is at least pushing the ball down the field consistently to one guy. It feels like these were 2 fluky long plays that they were anchored by. Number 4 for me is Toronto. Like I said, I'm a big believer in Cam Phillips, and this was a prolific offense last year, that saw multiple guys do incredibly well. This had Curly Gittins, Markeith Ambles, Devaris Daniels, all over 700 yards, just absolutely churning out numbers. And McLeod Bethel Thompson was almost a 5,000-yard passer last year. If he'd played in every game, he would have been a 5,000-yard passer in the CFL.
Yeah. Yep. I like it. I got Toronto at 3.
See, I mean, big Toronto fans. I'm big on Cam Phillips this year. I think Cam Phillips takes a step forward and he shows everybody what he can be with a consistent opportunity and a consistent quarterback.
Yeah, and I think obviously I'm very biased, but they have the best quarterback room with Swag Kelly, Brian Scott, and even Cam Dukes. Cam Dukes looked good in preseason.
Yeah. So who are you going to next?
Number 2.
I'm up.
Oh,
Sorry.
you're up. Yeah.
Number 3. Number 3, I'm going with Hamilton.
Okay.
I just, they have guys in Tim White. Bo Levi Mitchell makes me nervous. He's getting up there in age. He's, been down a little bit in recent years. And I just don't know if he can still produce at a high level like he's been capable of in the past.
And as you said, Hamilton, I just realized I did not have Hamilton on here. I had Calgary at 5 and 8. I'll keep them at 8 and put Hamilton at 5.
I should have caught you on that one. Whoops.
It's all good.
But I think Hamilton is capped by that, and I think it's also capped by the fact, at least in the receiving room, that this offense starts and ends with James Butler.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so I'm at number 2. I got BC. I don't think they're going to be as good as last year, but they did show that they're not going to take too much of a step back. And I think Dominic Grimes is one of the best receivers in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I've got BC at 2 as well. I think Dominic Grimes and Alexander Hollins are a 1-2 punch, as well as Lucky Whitehead. I think that's really good. I think Vernon Adams is solid, but the thing that keeps them from being number 1 right now is that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers exist.
Yep, I agree. Obviously, that's my 1 as well. They just, like I said, Dembski, Schoen, Wolotarski, Rashid Bailey, those guys can flip flop with who's the wide receiver one each week. They did last year, it seemed like, and they got a lot of talent,
Yeah,
and they run the ball they run their offense very well.
There was one 300-yard passer last week in the CFL, and it was Zach Caleros in a shootout against the Hamilton Ticats.
Yeah.
Justin, any last thoughts on the CFL season? Anything there?
I'm excited for it to keep progressing. I'm excited to see that Toronto team and how they move the ball down the field once Chad Kelly gets to play, since he didn't get a lot of preseason time.
Yeah, I mean, it's good saving the starter, but he looked good in his time last year. It'll be interesting to see what happens this week. We'll be sporadically with you throughout the CFL season, checking in, talking about all things that we have. As I said, I was in Memphis this weekend talking with Brian. Brian and I had some great conversations about what we were going to have on the platform next year. Some fun stuff on the way, including, I'll tease it here. Justin, what if I told you there was a way to get involved in a fantasy league, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a season-long contest, but you don't have to draft. You just have to pick a lineup every week.
Oh, nice.
But you don't have to worry about salaries. The only thing you have to remember is once you've put a guy in your lineup, you can't use him again that season.
Oh, okay.
So it's like DFS Eliminator.
Nice. Interesting.
Coming next year. Get ready. Get excited. We're really excited for it. We think we're going to roll it out as a USFL XFL game. So starting in the USXFL season and running through week 10 of the USFL season. And don't forget, set your lineups. We got Thursday night CFL football, Friday night game, Saturday, one game, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Justin, football all weekend. Get excited, ladies and gentlemen. And Justin, don't forget about Edge Boost, because I can tell you right now, my Edge Boost double down play of the day. Okay, I'm in on Winnipeg to win the CFL championship. I know, hot take, everybody's favorite right now. But let me tell you, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on the Edmonton Elks and the Toronto Argos to win as well, because I think Taylor Cornelius has that dog in him. Edmonton is a hungry town. That's, it's close to my heart. Small town, Rust Belt, deep North Canada. They think differently up there, and people aren't believing in them. And I think that this is an Edmonton team that could take some folks by surprise. And the Argos with Swag Kelly feel like a team that can punch above their weight class, because Swag Kelly never knows when he's beaten. So that's my Edge Boost double down play of the day. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to sign up today. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge for the man who's got 60 trees in 60 hours to plant. That's Justin Mark, and I'm Adam Pelletier, and we will see you next time.